Hola, this is Marsha Scarbrough, International Living's Spain correspondent, and I'm coming to you from Madrid today. And the topic for today's video is the cost of living in Spain. So we'll start by saying that in general, the cost of living in Spain is less than the cost of living in the US or Canada. But how much less it is depends on several different factors. One of them is where you're coming from. So if you're coming from a small town in Kansas, it's not going to be that much less, if cheaper at all. But if you're coming from New York or Toronto or Los Angeles or San Francisco or Vancouver, it's going to be quite a bit less, and it's going to have sunny, beautiful weather. Another thing is, where do you end up living in Spain? Where do you want to live in Spain? Because some places are more expensive than others. The cities, the big cities, Madrid and Barcelona, are the most expensive. San Sebastian in the north is quite expensive. But if you go south, even down to the Mediterranean beaches, it can be quite a bit less. A smaller town is going to be less than a bigger city. So it all depends. Also, do you want to have a car? If you don't have a car, that's a huge savings. But if you're out in a small pueblo in a rural area, you're probably going to need a car. So you have to consider all that. Also, how do you like to live? Do you want an ocean view? Are you expecting a 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment? Or are you happy living in a little studio apartment in the city? Or maybe out in a rural pueblo? So all those things are going to affect the cost of living. Also, just like who are you? What do you what do you enjoy doing? How much do you like to go out to dinner? Do you go to a lot of big concerts? Are you including travel around Europe in your budget? You have to consider that as well. So profile yourself. What are your deal breakers? What's really important to you? Take a good look. For example, if I'm going to profile myself, I know I like to live in the city. I love the beach for a long weekend, but after that I'm bored. I want to be where there are art galleries and museums and theater and art films and young creative people. I don't want to have a car, so I want to have good public transportation. I have lived in an expat community in the past, and I kind of know that it's not for me. I really want to be integrated into the culture of the country. So I have chosen Madrid, and I live in a neighborhood called Chamberí, which is close to the center, but not right in the center of Madrid. It's very convenient with public transportation. Metro and buses are very close. It's a nice neighborhood of professional people. It's close to a university, so there's students and faculty. There's families. The mayor lives in this neighborhood. It's not a very fancy, luxurious neighborhood, but it's a very nice, convenient neighborhood with a lot of markets, bars, big department store. Anything you want really is just practically right outside the door. Personally, I like to cook, so I don't go out to eat a lot, but I will buy good quality ingredients and even organic ingredients, which cost more. I do take vitamins and supplements, and those cost about the same as they do in the US, so that's a bit of a luxury for me. So I have to consider all those things. And what about you? I pay 850 euros a month for my studio apartment in Chamberí, and I'm going to give you a little tour so you'll have a frame of reference. So when you come in the door of my studio apartment in Madrid, this is what you see first, the desk where I work. One of the things that I really liked about this apartment is that it has really high ceilings with some little coving details here. Also, I like that it was white, and it has a very nice, soft, luminescent light. That's important to me. So you can practically see the whole apartment from the front door. Right here, a bookcase and a little table, my desk, And over here, I have a sofa that can make into a bed. This was unfurnished, and I bought all the furniture at IKEA and hired some guys from them to put it together. It was inexpensive. It has like a sleeping alcove, the sort of a little balcony here that looks out into a courtyard, kind of basically at a brick wall, the armoire, and then my very concise and efficient kitchen, and a very nicely refurbished bathroom that's quite modern and large by Spanish standards. So that was good for me. I'm going to share my personal budget with you, but first we need to talk about the exchange rate. So you receive your income in dollars, American dollars, or Canadian dollars, and yet your living expenses are in euros. So what I do is I have my Social Security and my pension deposited into a US account that I have maintained. And I use an online service called TransferWise to move them into the Spanish account and make the currency conversion at the same time for a small fee. The amount of euros you get is going to vary every month depending on the exchange rate. And in recent months, the dollar has fallen in relationship to the euro, so I'm getting about 10% less than I did at this time last year. This is something as an expat that you always have to contend with and you can't really control. So now I'm going to give you the prices of things in euros, in dollars, and in Canadian dollars. But depending on when you're watching this, the exchange rate could be different. So Google currency converter and then put the euros into a currency converter to find out what the exact rate is when you're watching this. This is my personal budget. So this is the budget for a single person living in Madrid, October 2020. The exchange rate today is €1 equals $1.18 about. So my rent is 850 euros. So that would be 1,003 US dollars or 1,316 Canadian dollars. My utilities, gas, water, electricity come to around 85 euros a month, which is about 100 US dollars or 132 Canadian dollars. I have a bundle for my mobile phone that includes a landline and wonderful high-speed Wi-Fi in my apartment for 50 euros a month, which is 59 US dollars, 77 Canadian dollars. My health insurance with Sanitas, the biggest private insurer in Spain at age 73, because it increases with age, is 199 euros a month or 235 US dollars. 308 Canadian dollars. This includes everything, no co-pays, the lab work, the basic dental, really includes everything. My transportation is my Madrid Metro card, which gives me unlimited metro and bus rides, and that is €9.30 a month. So that's about 11 US dollars or 14 Canadian dollars. Groceries, and it's more during the pandemic probably, but around $200 a month for me, which is around 200 euros a month for me, which is 236 US dollars or 310 Canadian dollars. At the pharmacy, so the things you get at the pharmacy are things like aspirin, ibuprofen, antibiotic ointment, something like that. Those are not sold in the grocery store. So that's a separate bill in the pharmacy. I probably spend 40 euros a month on things there, which is 47 US dollars or 62 Canadian dollars. My thyroid medication, I put this in here just so you can compare. It's levothyroxine, Synthroid, basically. Here you get it over the counter. You don't need a prescription. And for a month's supply, it comes to about €1, which is about $1.18 or $1.55 Canadian. Compare that to what you're paying in the US. Vitamins and supplements are something that I like to have for myself. Here you get it at a store called an Herbalario. I spend about 50 euros a month, which is about 59 US dollars or 77 Canadian dollars. I have a membership in a gym where I get Zumba and Pilates and other classes that I enjoy for 50 euros a month, which is 59 US dollars a month, 77 Canadian dollars. Going out with friends, dining out, going to movies or occasional concerts. I'm doing a lot less of this during the pandemic, but normally I probably spend 120 euros a month on that, which is 142 US dollars or 186 Canadian. And then incidentals, mad money, just small things. I probably spend 40 euros a month, 47 US dollars, 62 Canadian dollars. So the total is 1,694 euros, which is 1,999 US dollars and 18 cents, or 2,622 Canadian dollars with 55 cents. Here's an average budget for a couple without a car. We're trying to be realistic here and not show you the absolute cheapest thing, but something that would be comfortable and that is falling between the most expensive and the least expensive places. So for a furnished 2-bedroom apartment with 2 baths in an elevator building, the rent's going to be about 900 euros or about 1,063 US dollars or 1,393 Canadian dollars. Utilities, which are your gas, electric, and water, are going to be about 90 euros, which is 106 US dollars or 139 Canadian dollars. For a mobile phone, landline, internet bundle, it's about 50 euros or 59 US dollars, 77 Canadian dollars. Groceries, about 350 a month. Of course, this is going to vary depending on if you include your wine and alcohol with this or not, and how much meat you buy, things like that. But as an average, we're saying for 2 people, 350 euros a month, 413 US dollars, 542 Canadian dollars. Entertainment, dining out, of course, then again, this varies about how often you like to go out to dinner, if you like to go to expensive concerts or whatever, but we're saying as an average for 2 people, maybe 400 a month, 472 US dollars, 619 Canadian dollars. Healthcare. Now this is based on Sanitas, which is Spain's largest private health insurance company. It's what I have. And this is for 2 people, a couple who are both healthy 64-year-olds. And this is a plan that meets all the requirements for the non-lucrative visa, including no co-pays, repatriation, including basic dental, and a bit of emergency care abroad. So it would be 261 euros, which is 308 US dollars or 404 Canadian dollars. Incidentals, let's say transportation by metro, taxi for and some mad money for 2 people for a month, let's say 100 euros each, 200 euros, 236 US dollars, 310 Canadian dollars. So the monthly total here is 2,251 euros, which on today's date, the exchange rate is 1 euro is worth $1.18, which would be 2,657 US dollars or 3,484 Canadian dollars. It's worth noting here that the minimum requirement to get a retirement visa for a couple is 2,662 euros a month. And to figure like an average budget for a single person, deduct 30% from this. And the minimum requirement to get a retirement visa for a single person is income of 2,130 euros a month. So this means that if you have the income to get the retirement visa, you can live comfortably in a modest way. So how can you live cheaper? Well, go south. The prices are lower in southern Spain. The summers are very, very hot, but you could be quite near the beach for a reasonable price. I think that there are some really good bargains in Alicante, which is a wonderful small city, and Malaga. Malaga, maybe if you go inland a little bit, just to be close to the beach, and I think you could find some very good prices. Small pueblos, rural properties, I think can be really very inexpensive. Then you're probably going to need a car, so you have to, weigh that. But southern Spain is a really good deal. But even if you want like a real city near the beach, take a look at Valencia. It's a really great city, and it's about 25% cheaper than Madrid. But even Madrid and Barcelona, although they're expensive by Spanish standards, they're maybe half or two-thirds of what you would be paying in New York or LA or San Francisco. So, like I said, profile yourself, take a look at your budget, figure out what's going to work for you. If you're younger and in really good shape and you don't mind carrying your groceries upstairs and carrying your trash downstairs, you can find really good rent, really cheap rent in buildings that don't have an elevator. So there's some 6th-floor walk-ups out there that are very nice and not expensive at all. Also, interior facing apartments where you're looking out at a courtyard with some clotheslines instead of at the street are going to be cheaper. Also, basement apartments with no windows, those can be very cheap. Most apartments only have one bathroom, so a 2-bathroom apartment is going to be a bit more expensive. And then if you want an ocean view, it's going to be expensive. So if you go inland away from the ocean, it's going to be cheaper. Look at the website idealista.com, and you can see every city and every location in Spain, and sort what's available for rent and for sale by the different filters, and prioritize what's important for you. Apartment sharing. So the young professional people in Spain will, they find these apartments that have 5 or 6 bedrooms and maybe 2 baths, and then they have a lot of roommates. Like maybe you have 5 roommates. I think this idea has a lot of potential for retired expats, like a sort of Golden Girls situation, although I don't know anybody who's doing that yet, but I think there's that has some potential. You can eat quite inexpensively, especially if you cook at home. There are plenty of fruits and vegetables, and if you eat seasonably, they're local and they can be really cheap. For like right now it's fall and we have apples and pears for maybe 65 cents a pound, something like that. Wine is quite a bargain. You can get here a €5 bottle of wine is a really good bottle of wine. So all of that is relatively inexpensive. And eating in restaurants is inexpensive as well. Spaniards love to go out and socialize and have wine and tapas or dinner together. So and their salaries are not very high, so you can do that here. One of the great savings is that there's no tipping. So automatically that's that 20% savings across the board on eating in restaurants. But, if you go out for a coffee, it's going to be less than €2 for a coffee con leche, which is the same thing as a cappuccino. Less than €2 for a small beer, less than €3 for a glass of wine. It's a small glass of wine, but it comes with free olives and potato chips and it's a good deal. You want a gin and tonic, it's probably going to be around €6. So all that's very reasonable. And I think one of the great bargains in Spain is the menu del dia. So in Spain, the main meal of the day is in the middle of the day between 2 and 4. And the restaurants have this 3-course fixed price lunch where you get a starter course, which could be soup or salad, or sometimes it's even paella or something like that. A main course, which is like a chicken, fish, or meat course. It includes a beverage, which could be wine or beer. And then you get a choice, you get bread, and you get a choice of dessert and coffee. So it's a dessert or coffee. And it's a hearty meal. And you can find those for like 10, 11 euros almost anywhere in Spain. So, eating out is quite reasonable. So there's one hidden cost of living that you need to keep in mind. about living in Spain, and that's taxes. Spain taxes you on your worldwide income at a rate that's higher than the US rates. Now, you're always a US tax resident, and you're a Spanish tax resident if you live in Spain more than 183 days a year. So as a full-time expat, you have to pay taxes in both countries. Now, there is a treaty that protects you from double taxation. And here's how it works. Your US taxes are due in April. So at that point, you do your regular US taxes and you pay your taxes. Your Spanish taxes are due in June. So then you do your Spanish taxes. They will be higher than your US taxes. And so you deduct what you have already paid in the US from what you owe in Spain, and you pay Spain the difference. The Spanish taxes are progressive, like the US taxes. They're higher rates. The rates go up as your income goes up. But the rates they start around 19% and they go as high as 45%. So for those of us who are close to the low end, it's not that big a deal. It may be more of a deal breaker if you are more affluent. There is also a wealth tax that you should probably be aware of, and it doesn't kick in until you have assets over $700,000 per person, but also something to keep in mind. So why are Spanish taxes so high? Well, because the quality of life in Spain is so high. Those taxes pay for some of the very best health care in the world. Those taxes pay for first world amenities like water you can drink from the tap, like public transportation and high-speed trains, like dependable electricity, like daily trash pickup, like very good roads and bridges, for police protection. Those taxes pay for a social safety net that give people in Spain peace of mind that allows them to enjoy life. So be sure that you put aside money every month to pay your taxes. If we go back again and take a look at the amount of income needed to get the non-lucrative visa or the retirement visa, which is in terms of US dollars, approximately, depending on the exchange rate, $3,000 for a couple and a little over $2,000 for a single person per month. If you live at the level of these budgets I've presented here and you pay your taxes, those amounts are just about equivalent. So if you have the income to get the retirement visa, you have the income to live a comfortable, if somewhat modest life in Spain. And if you have more income than that, then you get to live a more luxurious life in Spain. So yes, Spain is affordable, but it's so much more than that. Spain is dazzling. Spain is full of sunshine. Spain is delicious. Spain is seductive.